Hey everybody, this is Grace. In this video, I'm going to talk about people who go no contact with others. It could be family members, it could be friends, it could be um, it could be people that you work with even. That's kind of difficult. But or your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever it is, the person that you are going no contact with, or a group of people. And doing so as a person who's kind of highly sensitive, and some call them an empath. You really feel empathy for other people. And you're not at all narcissistic, more altruistic than narcissistic. And not at all narcissistic, just a little. We're all narcissistic in some way, but it just depends on the degree to which kind of thing. But going no contact as someone that feels empathy for others. Okay, I want to talk about that. All right, when I'm doing this, I'm going to be thinking about going no contact with a friend. And let's say it's a long-term friend, say somebody you went to school with and you were friends in school, and now as an adult, you started seeing their ways. You learn more about narcissism. You learn more about abusive behaviors. The patterns they have. And you realize, okay, this old friend of mine, yeah, why wasn't I seeing it earlier, that they're so narcissistic, that they all are histrionic, and they always, or both, blend. They always turned it back around to them. They had to be this in their attention. They always wanted their way. Maybe you even felt like you were the invisible one. You were just the sidekick. Or in a group of friends, you were the black sheep. Whatever it was, you start to realize that that friend wasn't really a friend. The friend was really more all about them. Yeah. Okay, and when you become, you get older and older, and maybe you don't see one another as much, but, maybe you do. Maybe you live in the same town and you do. But you've started to learn, like I said, sort of realize you really need to go, cut it off with them. You have a talk with them and you tell them, this is how I feel about you. You've always made it, whatever. You actually made the accusations, and you said the words of how they make you feel. And, maybe the first time or so they'll say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it. But then you see the behaviors from that point on don't change. They just they slide right back into their ways, become just like they always had been. And you're really seeing it. It's really being red flags waving all over the place, or flashing neon lights. So the only thing that you can think of to do is that you just need to end the relationship, end the friendship. Friendships are relationships. And you tell them that you really would prefer, you tell them no contact. You just tell them straight out, I tried talking to you, we had a discussion about it, you kept doing the same thing, and that you're not learning, you're not understanding. So that's it. It's over with. The friendship's over with. And now at these points, and even after, before and after, anytime, these people can be dangerous. If they feel like, that somebody's sliding them, somebody's letting them go, they're not the one to do the discard. That's somebody telling them they're wrong. They can be dangerous, and danger is not just physical. And that's why I think that really, my thought is, it's best to have a counselor, to see a counselor if a person can. To see a counselor and see what the counselor suggests on how to. Now, nobody's going to be able to tell you how exactly to do it, because nobody knows your situation. Nobody knows the other, the whole thing, the other person, and every situation is different. But anyway, but that's what you decide. You decide to go no contact. You tell them to delete your phone number. You block them from your phone. I have done that before and blocked a woman from. She was bipolar, actually, and I'm not saying all bipolar people do this, but she refused to take her medication, and there was more going on than that. But I blocked her, and then that was back in the day of that still had pay phones that were pretty much common. Not very many people had cell phones, and I would have to block every pay phone that she would go to, because she would continue to call me. And no matter what, I told her I don't want to have anything to do with you. Her behavior was so bad. And it was right after her husband left her with 2 kids and the mortgage behind and no money in her bank account and all that. So there's no excuse. It was a bad crisis situation for her, but I wasn't the one that she was going to take it out on. You see what I'm saying? And she should learn how to deal with that herself. So anyway, I had to do that, and I went no contact, and yeah, that was great. It was wonderful. My life was returning a bit back to normal, without her insanity. I'm not saying people who are bipolar are insane, but her personal kind of insanity going on. And anyway, so yeah, and that whole process can be so tough, so very tough, especially for somebody who feels empathy. Because you're going and putting yourself in their shoes, but you would never, possibly never, behave in the way that they do, that somebody would need to go no contact with them. Okay, so you're feeling empathy for something that you really can't do, step in their shoes, because you don't act like them, you don't walk like them, and you don't wear their shoe size. Okay. Now there is that. Nobody can tell you why you should, how you should, all that. But maybe that's what you do. You realize, okay, you have to go no contact. It's going to be tough, and you see that it is tough, because they want to cry, and especially my experience in life was those with the histrionic blend. They're going to be very theatrical, cry a lot, and so on and so forth, try to reel you back in. And if they do, for the moment, it's just for the moment that they behave like a normal person, like a person who isn't this way. So then that's over. Well, you still have to go through your own kind of like separation, end of the relationship. You have to go through that whole feeling of that, that it's over, that it's ended. And there is some, it's kind of like it's kind of like an isolation. You may feel, even though you were the one to do it, it's still like there's a feeling of being isolated. I know it's odd. It might be to you. Not everybody does it. But, yeah. So you may feel some kind of isolation, it's like a separation anxiety, or, a little sad because of the person that you thought you knew, as it turned out wasn't, and that you may feel like you were blinded to it all that time, of that person's way, and they had tricked you. So many things that you could feel, when your eyes really start to open, and they really open. So many different things you can feel. And that's why I keep saying, a counselor is a good thing. Hopefully, if you find a good one. And okay, other things that I'm looking at, notes I wrote down. Okay, here's another one. Like time goes by, and maybe at first they try to call you, they try to find you on some social media, they try to text you, I don't know about some things, like you can block people on their phone, but they still leave you voice messages. And I don't know how that works, especially like businesses. How do they do that? How do they get through? Like we want to sell you something. We're looking at, buying something from you, some crap like that. And they somehow get through, even though I blocked their numbers, and their number won't ring, it won't. So, but they still do. But some of these people that they'll just keep calling, writing, they might go through your friends, mutual friends, and if you tell a mutual friend, look, I don't want any contact, I don't want to hear anything about them, I'm no contact with them, hopefully your friends, whoever it is, whomever, will respect that. If not, then you might have to go no contact with them too. It's your life, it's your only one life, okay, your one and only life. And is it worth it having people that don't respect you in it? It's difficult, that person might come back later and say, I see what you mean. That person turned on me too. The bad one. But the one that you went no contact with at first. And, so time goes by, then finally, you're so happy because that person stops. They stop trying to get to you. The bad seed stops trying to get to you. and the friend that you went no contact with. And then, you go through, and it's kind of like I don't want to put it as this way, but people say they're first, but it's usually in a death. But, well, this is not an actual death. It's just an end of something. It's a death of the relationship. And you go through those holidays or days or birthdays or whatever you used to spend time with that person, that friend, different days, whatever it is. You go through those, and you might feel, once they've stopped trying to contact you, you might feel like, wow, they didn't even try to contact me. Don't be surprised by that. I would not be surprised if you feel that way. I think that's, but I could be wrong on all this, and this one too, that, it's kind of normal, because, we all have a little bit of a nostalgia and a little bit of, good memories that we want to think about, and then that brings up that, a good memory attached to it. Don't let them take your good memories away from you, So you can feel a little bit of pain then, but, as some people say, they will tell you that, you might ask, when does it ever stop? The hurt ever stop? How you feel for them, you feel for yourself about this. Why didn't the friendship even work out? Why didn't the friendship work out? Something. Why couldn't the person have learned and changed some? Could be understanding. You may go through all those and then some. And what you hear people say is that it gets better with time. Okay, I think it does. I think it really does. Like many things, it gets better with time, and that time will tell. How it is, but I think that it's not going to be unusual. Because many of us who are this type, with feels empathy, we're still going to feel every once in a while. We're still going to have a memory. Yes, we don't have that disposable people type mentality that once, you say goodbye, that they're dead to you totally. Does that make sense? Like some of these people who are really narcissistic or like that who do the discard, and they're the bad ones. It seems like they just said next. They did not care. And you might have been, your friend may have been one of those. So if they can't use you, then you're of no use to them kind of attitude. Really, I meant to say it that way. So, and they can't get anything out of you. But anyway, I think I'm going to wrap that up. I wanted to do a little video, I don't know how long it's going to be, a video on that. And I'll, if you have any comments, you feel free to, any stories, you feel free, comment below. I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.